Okay, it's just now 11 o'clock. We have a few more people joining us. Typically, we always wait until a couple minutes after the hour to ensure that everybody is able to get in for the start of the webinar. So yeah, I see a few people saying that they can hear me. That's great. Also, this is a listen-only mode webinar. You can submit all your questions through the question interface provided by GoToWebinar. We'll try to answer some of those in real time as they come in. We do also have people standing by to answer those directly back to you through the questions and answers interface. And of course, if there's anything we're not able to get to during the webinar, we will get back to you after the webinar. So again, we're going to wait about 1 to 2 more minutes and then go ahead and get started with the webinar. Just want to give everybody a chance to join. So thank you for your patience. Yes. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Looks like everybody has joined, and we're going to go ahead and get started with the webinar. I want to thank everybody for um, attending today, and just real quick going to run through some slides about today's webinar. So today's webinar is about our new enterprise solution. We just launched it at the DMA 2015 show in Boston a little over a month ago. The concept behind enterprises is it allows teams of people to work together. And I'm going to go into great detail to explain to you what that means, how it works, what are the advantages. But essentially, you'll see at the end of by the end of this webinar, if I do my job right, you will see the dramatic difference between a company that has 4 or 5, all the way up to hundreds of reps and marketing contacts and even senior management using LeadFerret independently or disparately versus all using LeadFerret together. And that's really why we created LeadFerret Enterprise, is to address a lot of issues when you have many people within the same company using different individual LeadFerret accounts. Again, addressing many of the age-old challenges that teams face when it comes to acquiring and managing data, specifically sales, marketing, and management, all coordinating together, not just for existing LeadFerret users, but for sales, marketing, and management working together in general. And again, whether you have 2 people on your team or 2,000, LeadFerret can make you more productive, efficient, and actually save you money compared to using individual premium subscriptions on LeadFerret. And I'll show you how we do that as well. So some of the benefits, and then I'm going to jump in directly into the site itself and show you LeadFerret Enterprise. But let me just kind of give you a preview of what I'll be showing you. So this LeadFerret Enterprise gives your sales team the power to help identify prospects that they'd like to have included in marketing campaigns. So it's not just a one-way flow where marketing is identifying the data and then sales is simply getting the leads that result from that. It also allows management to give sales reps access to the platform without but still maintain some control. So right now, if you have a sales team or if you're part of a sales team, you have access to LeadFerret with sort of no constraints, no restrictions, no dividing of the data, no territories, et cetera. With LeadFerret Enterprise, I'll show you how you can actually create territories. And those territories don't just have to be geographical. They could be based on industry, company size, even named account list, even title types. They can really be created any way that you desire, and I'll show you how to do that as well. Everyone still has their own account, and by the way, existing accounts can be combined into or added to a LeadFerret Enterprise account. If you have 4 or 5 users within your company, you can immediately take those 4 or 5 users and create a one enterprise account, and each of those users still keeps and maintains their existing account. They just now are also part of a team. Each rep can research and acquire data and download that data or use it however they see fit. And if they ever use a point to acquire any record within LeadFerret, that record is now available at no cost to everybody else on the team. And that's a big part of how LeadFerret Enterprise will save companies that have multiple accounts a lot of money, because you won't have the same rep or 2 reps or 3 reps or 4 reps all downloading the same record. Okay, so let me jump into the site now and actually walk you through a little bit of what LeadFerret Enterprise looks like. So on the homepage, you'll see this little description of LeadFerret Enterprise, and this takes you to a little bit more information. Covers actually a lot of what I just went over, some of the features, how the issues that it addresses, use case scenarios, how different types of companies could use LeadFerret Enterprise. But then if I go into, if I'm from the search page, if once you have a LeadFerret Enterprise account set up, so if you have an account right now, what you need to do is talk to a rep, and we actually will set up and establish an enterprise account for you. And once that's set up, your account will look much like this does. I'm actually using Thor's account. He's part of our development team here and has done a lot of work on the enterprise solution. So I'm using his account because he's got a lot of activity in his enterprise account to show you what it looks like. So you're all familiar with this. This is a standard search page. Now if you go up here in the upper right corner, you'll see that since we've activated for his account the enterprise capability, it's now on this drop-down list. You won't see it until your account has been activated for to be an enterprise account, but once it is activated, you will see that. So now I land on this little dashboard, which gives me initially just some statistics about the enterprise account that I'm part of. And in this case, I'm actually the administrator of, and only the administrator of the account will be able to see this information, not all of the individual users. So again, the concept is very simple. We're taking one administrative account and tying all these sub-accounts to it. In this case, some quick statistics. There are 7 team members who've run a total of 1,500 searches and done a total of 100 downloads. That's just your basic dashboard statistics. Now let's jump over to the team. How do you manage? Let's talk about first how you build and manage a team of sub-accounts, if you will. So you can see here I've already got some existing sub-accounts created or some members of my team. I can click on any one of those and edit their information. I can also, of course, create a new user, so I can click on any one of these, edit the information, and save it as a new user. Also, if you have existing accounts, say you have 4 or 5 accounts within your company already, and you're going to be the administrator of the enterprise account that oversees all those accounts, you can actually click this invite button here and type in the user ID, which typically most of you are not going to have access to. That's more of an internal thing, or the username, which is simply the email address of that user here, and you can say invite user. They'll get an email. They can click on a link, accept the invite, and they'll be joined to the team. Now, of course, and we of course can create new users directly from here. So if you have somebody within your company that doesn't already have an existing LeadFerret account, you can simply click on any one of these users. And let's say we want to create an account called Joe Smith, and it's Joe at joesmith.com. We can create a password for him, and we can assign him a certain number of points when we do this. Now, in this account, I currently have 17,438 points. The concept behind points when it comes to enterprise accounts is that you have one master subscription or one account that acquires all the points, and then you're able to distribute them out to the sub accounts from there. So I obviously have quite a large subscription because I have 17,000 points. I'm going to say let's start this user Joe Smith with 100 points when we create his account, and I've got him active right now. So I'll go ahead and save him as a new user. Be careful not to click on save user because that would actually modify the existing record, the Richard Vo record. Of course, I can also create a new account here, but if I don't click on, if I haven't already clicked on one of these. So I've created this user, Joe Smith. Here's all this information. Now, at any point, if he leaves the company or for any reason I want to deactivate him, I can simply deactivate him there as well. You'll notice now that my points went down from 17,338 to 17,438 to 17,338. That's because Joe Smith's account now has 100 of those points in it. So they've been subtracted from my account, added to his account. Essentially, I've allocated 100 points to him, so he can now download up to 100 records, and then if he needs more, he could probably come to you and ask for it or something like that. Now for this user, I can do quite a few additional things, which I'm going to kind of summarize, and then I'll go through and show you each one at a time. I can apply suppression lists, both domain level and email suppression lists. So oftentimes you have company-wide suppression lists that you want to apply, and it's a big issue that the enterprise solution addresses, and you can apply those. There are a couple already in here for domain, and for email I can select those. Target lists, so I can actually create a target list myself, and I'm assuming everybody knows what a target list is, but basically that's just a list. It's sort of like a list that you build but keep within the site, so it doesn't cost you any points. You're essentially setting some records aside to potentially download later or use directly on the site. So if I, for example, have a new rep and I want to give them a call list to call on, I can actually build a target contact list and then send it to them. So let's say Joe Smith is a new user and I created this list, test 595 for him. I can assign that list to him, again save, or I'm sorry, not save as a new user. What I want to do is save the user. Yeah, I'm just updating. Yeah, that user already exists. So now I've assigned this list 595 to him, and when he opens up his LeadFerret account, he will see that target contact list immediately already in his account. Again, allowing that you to essentially push lists to users. So if you have 10 reps and you might maybe have a sales admin, you could have the sales admin sit down and build 10 call lists, push it to the 10 reps, and then it's in their LeadFerret account and they're calling exactly who you want them to call. No overlap from one rep to another, so long as you build a list that way. And yeah, you're off and running. It makes it very easy to manage data, call lists, etc. between teams of people. Filters, this is where we actually assign what we sort of suggest could be something like territories. It could be looked at a lot of other different ways as well. But I'm going to get into that in just a moment here. And that's essentially defining a little better what the user can and cannot see, have access to, view in their searches, etc. So now that I've sort of summarized those, let's go through each of them sort of one by one and in a little bit greater detail. We'll go kind of in reverse order. Let's start with filters. So with a filter, and by the way, again, if there are any questions, please do submit those. I'll check really quick right now. I know that we do have people answering questions, but I'll just check and see if there are any questions that haven't gone answered that I'd like to cover here. Okay, moving along, filters. So again, this is very simple in concept. Once you get it, I think you'll see the sort of genius behind it. Essentially, we start by naming the filter. So let's call this filter West Coast EDU. So and let's also call it 100 mil. Okay, so I'm giving a name to my filter, and you'll see in a second why I gave it that name. And then this is essentially the search form that you're already familiar with from our standard search page. And what I'm going to do is start selecting a criteria that I want to apply in this filter. So let's say, since this is West Coast, let's say I want to do California, Oregon, and just to not spend too much time on it, we'll just say California, Oregon, and Washington State. Now I said it was, I also put in the name of the filter, although there's not necessarily a specific relation, but I put in the name of the filter that it was that I wanted .edu. So I'm going to say domain ends in .edu. Essentially, I'm looking for educational records, and let's say that revenue is 100 million to, let's say, 10, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 10 billion. Oh, wait, that's 10 billion would just be 10, 1, 2, 3,000. Okay, so I've added some criteria here. I can use any criteria I want. I can say, give me only records that are running Windows, or only records that have a LinkedIn account associated with them. I can use a zip code radius, any filter that I would like. Let's say I only want my reps calling on the best prospects, so I'm going to set the quality score to 50, and then I'm going to say save as new filter. Okay, so it successfully saved that filter. Now what that does, and I can create an unlimited number of these filters. And you can see here, West Coast EDU, that's the filter. I can also go back and edit it at any point if I so choose. You can see all my criteria is here if I want to go back and edit that. Now what that does is it allows me to apply this filter to any or all of the reps in my account. And when I say reps, it can be anybody within your company. It could be marketing, could be sales administration, anything like that. But oftentimes it's going to be sales reps. So when I take this filter and I say, let's go back to our user that was created, Joe Smith, and if I say that I want to apply that filter to Joe Smith, what that means is that anytime Joe Smith runs a search within LeadFerret, he's only going to return records that fall within that search criteria. So I had put in California, Oregon, Washington, domain ends in edu, and 100 million or more in revenue, or 100 million to 10 billion in revenue. What that will do is, let's say if Joe Smith ran a search and he said, I want California, all records in California and Arizona. Well, California is in this filter, Arizona is out of this filter, so he would only get California. Now the filter had California, Oregon, and Washington, but he didn't select records in Oregon and Washington in this hypothetical situation. So in other words, what it does is it takes the join of whatever query that rep is running and the filter. So it essentially applies some additional filter on top of the filter that they've already, or the query that they've already run. So in this case, maybe Joe Smith, we know we want him to focus on the West Coast. If he might run a search on the East Coast, and he would get no records at all because they're not in, there would be no join between that search and his filter. And that's how we get people on our teams to focus on the geographies, industries, sizes of companies. You can even filter by titles, etc., that we want them to. So you can take the 30 million records within LeadFerret and essentially narrow it down to what you want them focusing on, and then let them search within that. It's a very powerful sort of coordination between management and sales, as well as could be marketing, to allow people to have some freedom as to searches that they run, but also some constraints as to where you would like to see them focused. So that's filters in a nutshell. The end user actually does not see the filters applied. So for example, Joe Smith, he can't see what filter you have applied to him. You could choose to tell him if you'd like, and he may notice that when he runs a search in the state of Alabama, he doesn't get any data back. But that's up to you to determine whether you want to let people on your team know that you're applying, what filters are being applied to them or not. But by default, they cannot see that. They simply see a subset of the data they would normally see if the join between the two queries is not 100%. So that's filters in a nutshell. Again, if there are any questions about filters, please do let us know. We'd be happy to help with those. We'd be happy to walk you through how filters work. Richard or DJ, many of you I'm sure have spoken with in the past, can walk you through step by step when you set up an enterprise account, how to create filters, how to apply them to different reps, etc. Okay, target lists. Again, I think you all know how target lists work, but just a really quick refresher. Oops. I'll actually create a quick target list and then show you here how you can add it and what it actually looks like to the end user, and also domain and suppression lists. Okay, so let's say, for example, I have a new rep starting and I really want them to focus on, let's say I have a software for lawyers and I really want them to focus on a particular state, say Florida. I can run a search like this, and I'm sure you have all done this, but I just want to kind of very quickly show you the full life cycle. So there are 13,555 records in here in this search. Let's say that I really want to just give them, say, the 1,000 best records, and I'm going to again say target those. This is, like I said, I'm sure most of you have already created target contact lists, but I just want to give you a quick refresher. Let's create a new target contact list. We're going to call this Florida attorneys. Save that. We'll view it really very quickly in our target contact list. All those records have been, it's that fast. For those of you who don't use target contact lists frequently, you can create a list, and this doesn't cost you anything. Again, you're just sort of subcategorizing the data. So here's our list, 1,000 records. This is what it looks like. Essentially, if I go into the enterprise account and I'm click on Joe Smith and I select target contact lists, okay. Oops. 1 second. Okay, if I select target contact list, here you'll see this Florida attorneys list that I just created. I just had to refresh the window real quick. So you'll see this Florida attorneys window, or list here, and I can assign that to Joe Smith. And now when he logs into his account, he will see, and he goes to his target contact lists, he will see this target contact list listed under here, and it can be like, oh, okay, I know this is what they want me working on. Let me get started on this, or this is what they've asked me to sort through and find prospects that I want to include in the next marketing campaign, or anything like that. These are the prospects they want me to go after. So you can push call lists instead of sending an Excel file and having no control over it. You can just right within the system, you can push the contact list directly to the rep. It's really powerful feature. I hope to see a lot of people using that because I think it'll really work very well within team environments. Okay, domains and email suppression lists. So another feature that maybe hopefully most of you are using, maybe some of you are not, but within your dashboard, you have the ability to store suppression lists, and these are lists that can be either at the domain level, as you can see with the D here, or the email level, as you can see with the E here. And what that essentially does is when you apply that suppression list to a search, those records will not show up in the search and therefore will not be downloaded. This is great for people who already have large lists or who have target accounts that they want to exclude from marketing activities, things like that. I mean, this is one of the big issues that LeadFerret Enterprise addresses is, and anybody who's run a sales team, especially enterprise sales team, has experienced this. You get a new rep on board, they're aggressive, they want to go after stuff, and you have, say, anywhere from dozens to hundreds of named accounts, competitors, existing customers. That's the biggest one, existing customer list. And you do not necessarily want to just hand a new sales rep an existing customer list on day one. They might never show up again. They might take it straight to a competitor or something like that. You don't know. You don't have a trust level with them yet. You don't know for sure that they're going to stick around for the long term. So you want to apply that suppression list to their prospecting efforts and their sales efforts without giving the list to them. And that's where the LeadFerret Enterprise suppression list feature is huge. It allows you to do exactly that. So you create a suppression list by uploading it here. It gives you all the instructions for those of you who maybe haven't used suppression lists yet. You can enter small suppression lists manually if you so choose to do so. Maybe you only have a few dozen domains or something that you want to apply. Again, domains will suppress at the company level, emails will suppress at the contact level. You create the suppression list here. Again, follow the instructions. I'm not going to go through that whole process right now, but I think hopefully everybody kind of gets the concept of what a suppression list is. You name the suppression list. It shows up on your list here. And then when you're creating that account, you can actually say, okay, domain suppression list test 1, that's our known customers. I don't want them doing any prospecting there. Retest is an email suppression list, and that is people who have opted out from hearing from us or something like that. So I don't want, and these are just hypothetical examples. You could have many, many suppression lists at the domain and email level. So I don't want them going after any of these, any of the people on these two lists. So I save that user, and now that user will never run into any companies with that specific domain or the specific email list that were on the suppression list as any part of their searches. So those will be excluded from all their searches, downloads, everything. They'll essentially never see that data. Really powerful tool. Definitely, again, hope to see a lot of our enterprise clients using that. I think you'll see tremendous value from it, and it gives you tremendous control over what the people on your team are able to do with the data without security concerns like handing out, lists of clients or asking opt-out lists, stuff like that. So this is really important because most companies have a pretty good policy when it comes to keeping opt-out email addresses out of marketing, but they don't do typically a very good job at keeping them out of the salespeople's hands. So with this, if you have hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands of email addresses of people who've opted out of receiving information from you, which most people do by now, you can apply that opt-out list to all your rep searches in a few clicks. It's super simple, and then you just don't have to worry about them finding data in LeadFerret and emailing somebody who asks you not to email them anymore. Again, the thought is, well, that only really applies to marketing, but that's not actually the case. You're actually not supposed to send email addresses in any way, shape, or form to somebody who has opted out of receiving emails from you. So that really addresses a major compliance potential issue as well, or compliance sort of loophole, allowing you to apply that opt-out suppression list across your entire sales team. So in a nutshell, let me see if there's anything else here I wanted to go through. I mean, that in a nutshell is what LeadFerret Enterprise allows you to do. Of course, it's in beta right now. We're building lots of new features. Some of the things coming down the road are being able to, for example, automatically distribute points to your team on a monthly basis. So you will sign up for a master subscription at the for the administrator, and everything I've shown you here is from the administrator's perspective. Each individual user does not see all of this data, or all of this information. So you sign up for a master subscription at the administrator level. All the points are added to the administrator's account, and right now as you create users or whenever you so choose, you can move points to any given user for them to use. or you may just want to use them all yourself. That's entirely up to you. But in the future, we'll be able to say you have a master subscription where you're getting 10,000 points a month and you have 10 sales reps, you could automatically set it so that they will be able, those points will be distributed out to them. That's an example of the types of things that we are working on. Of course, we're excited to have some of you get started with enterprise accounts and to give us some feedback as well, to give us some other ideas of things that we could build into the solution. There's also a history. There'll be a lot more reports. That's another thing we're working on. But right now, what you basically have is a history of every download that your team executed, so you can actually see who's downloading what data, the points they're using, the etc. Yeah. And yeah, there'll be quite a bit more on this page as far as history and activity on a user by user basis. Yeah, so what we're looking at right now is this search is not just, by the way, not just search. I mean, this history is not just searches. These are all searches, but it also indicates things like records downloaded and points added, stuff like that. So these are all searches run by this user. You can take any one of these searches, by the way, because you've got the search key here, and actually load it yourself. So you can actually see what that user was searching for, what kind of search they were running. So it's very helpful as well. You can kind of get a little bit of a sense for what your reps are trying to do. So for example, in this case, this person had searched for department, people in the product department, which is kind of a consumer packaged goods thing within companies. So that's typically means they have product in their title. These are all searches run by this user. Again, we can reload any of them using that short key there. Those are actually links as well. So, and here we can see that points were added to this user's account. Essentially all the activity associated with this user. Okay, and here we can actually click on the history of a download, and we can actually see the exact records that that person downloaded. And again, since they've downloaded them and those records and they're part of the team, we can actually re-download those and it won't cost us any points. So all I have to do is click on this little icon here at the top of the list of records downloaded, and it immediately downloads the spreadsheet for me without, again, the key is without charging me any additional points. So you can see I've now got these 100 records in Excel already paid for by the other user. So that, in a nutshell, is where we're at with the enterprise solution at this time. We're really excited about having some of you get started trying it out. A little bit about pricing. At this point, if you're interested, what you want to do is actually speak with your rep, either DJ or Richard or Stella or anybody here can help you. We do a one-time setup fee of $99, and then depending on the number of users, there's a monthly fee, and then you would attach also a subscription to any one of those accounts. So literally for, if you have 2 to 10 users, you can pay $50 a month. That's the license fee for the enterprise solution. And then another, say, $60 a month would get you I think it's 800 records a month as a subscription, as a master subscription you could attach to that. So for about $110 a month in that sort of scenario, you could have 10 users sharing 800 points a month using the LeadFerret Enterprise solution. It's tremendous value, I mean, for a very low cost. And for those of you who attended the webinar today, we are going to waive the initial setup fee. So you'll pay no setup fee. That's $100 savings. We'll set up your account at absolutely no cost. DJ Richard will walk you through how to use the account, how to add all your users, make sure that you're able to apply any filters you want, any suppression lists you want, etc. So I think you will be hard pressed to find a better value as far as a solution that can help your sales team manage the acquisition and management and coordination of data within your team. So thank you everybody for attending. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, hopefully there are some questions. If you guys have any questions, please do let us know. Don't forget to follow us, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, for regular updates on what's going on, not just with LeadFerret Enterprise, but with LeadFerret as a whole. And again, I want to thank everybody for attending. I'll leave the webinar on for a little while longer so that we can capture any questions that might come in. And if you did miss any part of the webinar, come in late, anything like that, there will be a recording of it available as well. Thank you.